Even before the First Amendment, Americans showed their need for freedom of expression through events such as the Boston Tea Party. It helped shape America as a country and continues to do so in present day. A process that began in 1848 with the Seneca Falls Convention had a successful conclusion in the 1920s when women were finally granted the right to vote in the 19th Amendment. The civil rights movements of the 1960s strove for full legal equality for people of color. This was done through mostly peaceful but sometimes violent protests, boycotts, and sit-ins. From this era emerged many significant figures and events recognized in America to this day, such as Martin Luther King and his March on Washington. The acts of these leaders were believed to have influenced President Kennedy's support for the cause, exhibited through appointments of African Americans to higher-level positions in administration. Also during this time, counterculture rose against the war in Vietnam. King also aided in the anti-war movement. American voices continued to echo throughout the 60s before finally being obliged in 1973 when Nixon declared an end to the war in Vietnam. Through free speech, the people have been able to spark change in American politics. The first openly gay political figure, Harvey Milk, was able to rally people to fight for the decline for Proposition 6 in 1978, which would eliminate the presence of homosexuals in California public service.
How do you practice freedom of speech?
By saying what's on your mind and not allowing people to make you stop talking.
I am careful on how I say my words. I also am careful in the tone of voice, because a tone of voice and just one word can change the whole meaning.
I practice in front of the mirror.
Expressing my opinion to anybody at all times, because I have a really strong opinion, even if I'm a quiet person outside of break.
By practicing it.
I say whatever I feel like I want to say, because it's freedom of speech and I get to say whatever I want, so I just say whatever is on my mind.
If you could protest something right now, what would it be?
Probably the missing people in Mexico.
Gay rights.
I would protest women's rights more, because there is a big pay gap between men and women's pay. I think that's a 76% difference. So I think that's not okay.
About something I'd protest about.
Finals.
How bad this chicken tastes.
How would you feel if the right to freedom of expression was revoked right now?
If it was revoked, no, we need to have that. But like everything else, you guys, it has to be within reason at that.
Mad?
Angry.
If it was revoked, then this would not be the land of the free, it would be the land of the suppressed. I think it just would be wrong, since it is in our Constitution. That's what we were promised since the beginning of time of our country, so it would just be wrong.
I don't know.
If they canceled freedom of speech, that'd be wrong, because it's freedom of speech. Isn't it on like the Declaration of Independence? What is it? Yeah.
The First Amendment was one out of 10 amendments which made up the Bill of Rights written by James Madison on December 15, 1791. The initial definition of this statement was fairly different to what it is interpreted as today. It has never stopped being a hot topic for debate, as people have difficulty claiming a limit to how far people may express themselves. Among the controversial forms of expression are hateful speech, flag burning, public nudity, and tobacco advertisement. Although many perceive the First Amendment's claim to freedom of religion as a wall of separation between church and state, this connotation had only later been introduced by Thomas Jefferson in 1802 and has since then become a common thought upon the mention of the First Amendment. In regards to free speech, the recognition of clear and present danger has been claimed as the only certain limit of free speech. This was decided in the Schenck versus United States case in 1919, where Schenck discouraged draftees to oblige draft notices during World War I. Different types of speech are protected at different levels. The three types are pure speech, which is a verbal expression in front of a willing audience, speech plus, which is a verbal expression accompanied by a protest, and symbolic speech, which is silent but visual and often involves actions such as wearing a certain color or boycotting. The third right protected by the First Amendment is the right of assembly and petition, which closely ties in with freedom of speech by protecting the right to rally groups of people who present no public or national harm in an effort to express an opinion.